That's the only part I was missing then. And it's still a plain screen.
The checkboxes are essentially irrelevant.
You know, I mean, and just tell them the truth, because we are held to following the law, and we just have to double check, because we've never had this situation, and we do want to follow the law.
Well, we're already rolling, right, Eamon?
We are now.
Yes.
Ramona,
Yeah,
good morning.
good morning.
Did she get it fixed to where she can see the
I'll get
forms?
it.
It was Eamon.
It was Eamon showed
Good
you.
morning, is this Mr. Phillips?
Yes, sir, this is David Phillip.
David Phillips. Good morning, David.
Just
This is Charlie.
standing by, so,
Yes, I understand. You're on the conference call, on the conference phone in the conference room. And
Yes,
let me
sir.
explain to you the situation. You
All right.
apparently sent in an affidavit of evidence, but only page 2. And Val was not able to get page 1.
okay. Well,
So at the
it's my
present,
understanding that she sent in page 1 also, because I've got a copy of it right here in front of me.
We'd love to have it.
we'd love to have it. We job up to have it. So if you can email it to her, then we'll carry on.
Okay, all right, it'll take
Take a
just
picture.
a while.
Ask
Take a
them.
picture on your phone and send it in that way, whatever. But that's what we're waiting on.
Oh, okay, all righty, thank you.
Okay?
Yes, sir,
Call back when you're ready.
all right, thank you, bye.
Yes, sir.
The volume button, the speak button. It's this right here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, if he doesn't understand why he's waiting.
And he knows he was number 1, and he probably knows he's the only one. It's like, what are they doing back there? I mean, serious.
Everything's saying,
Conspiracy.
I don't know if Ramona,
She said it.
Ramona, can you see me?
Now I can.
Okay. So what they were talking about before is just this active listing page, which you have access to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
on the listing page, there is, on each account, on each case, specifically for Mr. Phillip,
The South Terry property.
yes, that's correct. Did I leave that out?
Uh-huh.
Specifically for Mr. Phillip, just
Right.
the item being protested is.
I have that. Val put it on here for me.
Yeah, it's a Q1. So all we were showing was that because it's an online, this is what it looks like in the system.
Right.
It says online protest, and then in this section, any of these boxes will actually be on the same sheet in here. So,
Okay.
so we just kind of, now we know that, so we know that they're equal. I don't know that this is necessary in the future, but it
No,
was.
I don't, me who brought up the issue, now that I understand, this is fine. I can't speak for Ramona or them.
Gotcha.
No, I understand it.
I mean, you saw what I was talking, you remember, Ramona, how the old form had handwriting and all that?
Can I honestly?
Yeah.
But
We don't
now,
have that in it.
that's what it looks like online. So what's on our sheet is exactly what's online.
yeah, one of the advantages of them doing it online is there's no
You're not
chance for us
talking
to
about
write it
the
down.
wrong way. You're just
In our
talking about
system.
the-
What they
you're
type,
talking about- you're
that's the
talking- you're
note.
talking about the
What they check,
technicality
that's the stuff
of
that's
the
checked.
affidavit.
You know,
They-
They do it
If you want
and
to
it's
say
done.
the whole thing.
When they
you have
submit
to communicate
evidence
with anybody,
into our
with the
website,
exception of
it's-
just trying to get.
it's ready
you can
for
say that
hearing.
if you want to. Just-
there's no
just-
processing for us to
you're
do,
not-
which is
you're
good
not
for,
doing
if I was a
anything.
property owner, I would prefer to know
I'm not a lawyer. I mean. I'm
it's
just
ready to
trying
go. When we go to the
stay
hearing, they're not gonna go, did you get it? You know, are y'all seeing it?
Right,
It's like, no, it's in there.
right.
They put it in the same way we do, actually, so.
We're just talking about procedures.
What about the rest of the cases not being heard this morning?
This is it.
They were all settled. All the rest were settled.
Is there been one person? Because they've all got, it's
So we
like
had
every single
seven-
box on
We
here.
had 7 originally for this morning docket, and 5 were settled. 4 were settled, 2 were withdrawn, and the only one left.
And you told us to rush through it. See, Mike, we did exactly what we were told. You need to write that down on your calendar.
Did you see the other ones? Did you see they checked, it's an agent. So they check every
Was there
box.
one Asian?
Every single thing.
Ag, owner's name is incorrect. Checked everything.
Everything. They usually do.
Yeah,
Hello?
yeah. Cover the bases.
I don't remember.
What are we?
Can you put them on
A year.
speaker?
Um,
Don't usually
Did
see
you-
that.
yeah, I know, right? You got that.
No, they got
Hey,
everything
did you
checked.
get my email about the affidavit? Yeah, I know. I'm sorry to do this to you this hour in the morning, but,
The world's least specific question
the,
for a lawyer.
Did you get my
we
email?
had
The
a
affidavit.
protester who,
Which one?
as of 7:30
That's all
this
my
morning,
entire email.
was actually refusing to send in page 1 of the affidavit of evidence. He said it was, he had already put that information in with his protest, which he did online. However, when the, in terms of the form, if you look at where the signature is and the notary, there is no indication on that side of the form as to what property is being talked about. Now, he has since reconsidered and is sending us page 1.
So if he's sending us the page.
What if you have half an affidavit?
This is good that we have
If you
this,
don't have a full form?
because so much of the time, if we
Yeah.
don't see like what the Q1 or Q2 are, we just know what they are.
So if it's only half, is it a half a David?
Yeah. But that's, but you're
Maybe
you're
it's a star
on the
for-
same page.
Oh my
It's
God,
different
Ramona, are
ways.
you hearing this?
And he sent-
I'm hearing part of it.
We can't hear
Yell
shit,
it too much.
but
He's agreed to send it in.
Eamon's giving smart comments.
Isn't it, I tell you.
Good morning, Skip.
Your voice is undeniable.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. When you get to it. Okay, thank you, Skip. Okay, thanks. Bye. Half an affidavit is not an affidavit.
He called it a half a David.
Okay.
That was really
I
good.
was
That
just
was
like,
really good. That was witty.
oh my God.
Pretty witty.
So,
One of the things I found out in a conversation with my attorney is that
Wait, which form are you looking at?
I'm looking at this form where all the protests, you know, like the Q1 through Q 14. 1 and 2, the burden of proof is on the district, and that is a true statement. The burden of proof to prove incorrect market price value and the median level appraisal. All the others, the burden of proof is on the citizen to prove that like they turned in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Hey, Ramona,
Yeah,
what Mike is talking about, Val gave us a sheet, you know, on the forms, how there's all the boxes that you say it was incorrect appraisal, appraisal
Right.
and exceeds me, you know, all the different
Right.
reasons.
mhm,
Saying, you know, the first two, which is the incorrect appraised market value and appraisal exceeds median level of appraisal.
right,
Those two, the district has to prove the point. The
right.
rest, you know, like property should not be taxed, failure to send report,
Property owner has to prove that.
all of that other stuff, that's up to the person. And we can,
Correct.
we'll make sure, she can email this to Ramona, right?
Yeah, she sure will.
Okay, so you'll have this list. It's just a listing of all the different, there's 14 of them. 14 different reasons for a protest. I could come up with a couple.
No. 1420.
Yes, it is. So what we're doing is we're waiting now for the guy, because when we called him, you heard. He said,
Yes,
well, that was already sent.
She sent.
right.
I mean, like it wasn't even an issue, and I wonder if we had a miscommunication, is what it sounds like to me.
Well, I read the emails and there was no mystery about what Val was trying to get from it. She was very clear.
Yeah, and I think, Charlie, if there's any question that you have, when you read your statement, just say, other than trying to see a procedural affidavit so that you could present your evidence, there's been no discussion about the property, and that's true.
Yeah.
So you're good.
That's true.
I'm not an attorney, but that's real good.
Because we can discuss procedure, we can't discuss specific cases, and that's it.
That's correct.
I mean, so,
Speaking of procedure, when somebody checks every box, when we come into the hearing, then do we look at Q1 and Q2?
If they check every box, we have to rule on whatever boxes are checked.
Okay,
but rule means your motion, you
Yeah.
say.
right. So we would go through, let Mike present his evidence on behalf of the county, appraisal district. We make the ruling, and then on those two things, Q1 and Q2. And then either part of the same rule or second rule, we say, we're not even gonna
You don't
look
say
at these
that.
other things
You can't say
because
that.
the homeowner has presented no evidence, and it's incumbent upon them to present that in order to be
No,
considered.
you actually have to rule. So
You don't say that.
in our,
It's just your words.
whenever we have done this in the past and we've, and I'm just talking historical information, and they've checked every box,
Hysterical.
historical information. I think, whenever we've gone through our procedure and done the incorrect appraised value and unequal, and then somebody will say, oh, all these other boxes are checked, and I say, well, I'll make a statement that there's no other action or inaction done by the chief appraiser to adversely affect the property owner, according, and I'll just make that statement because I don't know of anything that I've either done or not done to adversely affect the property owner, which takes care of all of these. And the burden of proof lies with the property owner or the property owner's agents to actually show, no, I sent in an application for whatever, and denied it because of whatever, and they would actually have to go through that, but they would have to present that evidence.
But sometimes, I mean, what they are presenting is not one or two. Sometimes it's something else. And so when, again, historically, I mean, I'm not saying often, but sometimes, the owner's name is incorrect. That typically doesn't, but actually there was one that came up. But there's, they may present, and it's just you in making the motion, because then we'll start to make it on, because we're so used to 1 and 2. And then it's like, oh, somebody will go, oh, wait, all of them. And so then we'll go, okay, you need to revise it. So then, okay, based upon what we've heard today, I find that, on incorrect, this value supports, and then we just go through and list them all.
You have to read them all into the.
You have to read them all into the record, because then you're acknowledging that you got the piece of paper saying they were protesting because of all these reasons. And they may have been, you don't have to say which one they actually proved. You just have to say, I think we have adequately addressed
Things that
the
pertain
incorrect
to-
appraised, the
Yeah.
appraisal, I think we have correctly considered
Yeah,
the evidence that was produced for da-da.
okay.
It's unusual to see that many checks.
I mean, you wonder, are they just being curmudgeonly?
Well, and it probably, or they're not sure
Right.
which one they need to check. I mean, truly,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably,
I think that happens a lot and
I
people
think-
tell us that.
I think that's probably, like, I don't even know what things are wrong. Let me just, but I think, they can check.
Or they don't know what it
Getting that
falls
when we've had
under.
a- When we've had multiple properties,
I remember.
check them all. I
Yeah.
remember that from last year. I forget who it was that checked every.
Several of them, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
And in their case, I think they're just doing it in case they come up with something
Before.
before.
They're put an ag district or whatever, We make sure they cover
But I'm
the
guessing,
facilities, so.
Michael, if they did check everything, you would try to contact them and before a hearing and say, well, 3 through 14 here, Q3 through
Well, that's
14.
half of them is a representative, they never look at this.
Because then he's trying to,
No, I don't actively, typically it's 1 and 2, really that's the crux of it. So my appraisers are dealing with those issues. They're dealing with value and equal, unequal issues
Yeah.
whenever they're having conversations in an informal capacity. When it gets to this level, the burden of proof shifts on 3 through 14. And, if they present no evidence and I just make a statement because I've already solemnly swore that I'll present, it's true and correct.
Yeah.
And if I make a statement that there's no other action or inaction that the district has done to the property owner, information, with in an absence of any other information, and the property owner or property owner's agent has the ability to say, item number Q6, the exemption was denied, modified, or canceled. If they bring that to the hearing, I'm going to want to know about it. We've actually had cases where they actually said, hey, I should have had a disabled vet, or I should have had this, or whatever it is, exemption applied. And they show the evidence, and I'm like, yeah, we should apply it in that year, or those years. It's not, these typically are not contentious in any capacity. They're just factual things.
And what I'm trying to get at is hopefully those could all be settled through the gate outside of a hearing where somebody doesn't just
not
check
necessarily, I
everything,
mean.
just to throw sand in the gearbox.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, the owners, there are like, most of these could.
Force a hearing and you're in a position of almost arguing with them. How did we misspell your name? Well, you didn't. Well, why did you check the box? I mean, you don't want to get in that situation. Arguing with the homeowner.
Well, but see, what's happened
and
is,
you don't have to. It's our exchange, and you're just listening. And in the absence of any evidence that's done, and I say a statement that says that, I don't know if any either action or inaction that adversely affected property owner, referring to failure to send notice, other, any of those things. I say that the burden of proof, if they didn't present anything, then, it's pretty easy for you.
well, and
You
also,
don't have to argue at all.
because Robert, remember,
it's
here's
whatever.
what's happened. The people who filled out the protest form, turned it in, okay? They try to reach out to some of the people or all of them, whatever.
Exactly.
But trust me, they don't reach everybody. Or even if they reach them, a lot of the people are like, no, you put this high value, they don't, it isn't that they did anything wrong, but they're the kind that are like, just like the IRS or any, you put this value, I'm not meeting with y'all because I'm going to go before the jury. You follow? And
Right.
so
But if it's a
then
value question, clearly you do.
but it may be that not only, because that's usually what it is, they're fighting something else, but in addition, they should have gotten a veteran exemption, or the name also, and so they've never talked to the office, they're just angry, not angry, they have the opinion, they're following their rights and filing a protest, and it's one of the things, but it probably isn't the main issue. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but my point was, hopefully all of those things
I
can be
only got
handled
page 2.
through discussions with,
It could be if
And then also the
You
evidence.
chose to do
I got that, but
They
we are
just
missing
said they
the page
didn't
one
want
of the application.
They want to make that, they're going. Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
So my number.
And, or they're like, it's the big bad appraisal district.
You just,
Okay.
yeah, you just need to know that in this process, you know, citizens definitely have rights that they can exercise. And one of the rights is the right to a hearing. And sometimes they just want to exercise that right, and it's just as simple as that. It's okay.
Okay.
It's just okay. Not,
It's their right.
Hey, does Kathy have anything to say?
What?
Does Kathy have anything to say?
she has been talking.
I've been talking.
Oh, I can't hear her. I hear everybody else.
She's just listening.
No, I've been talking.
No, she's had a couple of people tell her to
Wait,
speak up.
say hello, Ramona. Say hello.
No. I was just like, everybody else is dominating the conversation.
Oh, yeah, we don't have her up.
Oh, we have the lights on.
We can't see you anywhere.
I know, I like to
I'm
see
not here.
your pretty face.
I'm here.
It's a ghost. Oh my God, Mike, this building is, it's haunted. Now you can charge, wait, oh my God, the appraisal district can get extra money by doing ghost tours. Wait, oh, she floated off, she's a ghost.
How do I make this big? Oh, here we go.
Wait, do that, what'd you, oh, there's us. There's,
Yeah, but if I click her, I don't know. She's up here.
we can see you, we see you waving, Ramona.
Good morning.
I know, she's losing weight and see, so.
No, she's not.
I think she talked to Eamon and got him to make her look smaller to piss me off.
Yeah, he did some photoshopping for me.
Huh?
Emailing me.
It's not, she's been tested. Yeah. Everybody's been tested. Yeah, every day y'all come in, we test everybody in the office.
Oh, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she has, yes.
Okay.
Yes, thank you for letting me know, but I mean, I'm sorry for the concern.
I'm twitchy.
Yes, I understand.
Are you letting anybody in the office besides us?
No, only board of directors, ARB members. There are situations in which a person needs, like, they don't have an affidavit, like a notary to do these affidavits, so we'll tell them, just come up to the office.
I have a problem.
We'll do the little thing, we'll put the mask on,
Looks like a personal
sign it,
problem.
and we'll get our papers and you can go.
What about listening to cases and stuff? How are you doing that? I mean, having people.
Informal,
Yeah.
it's all over the phone.
On the phone.
Oh, so all of that where they're making their,
Nobody's coming in.
so they send it, like if they have stuff, they send it in an email, just like they do for
Yeah,
this.
they would send it in an email. Like say a person, most of the time they want our information, so we send it to them.
Are you still settling cases like as easily as you would if they were in face to face?
You just need to know that in typical years, the majority of the traffic, I don't know, I'd have to look, but I think that it's more than half was phone calls anyway.
It was?
Oh, yeah, informals were phone calls anyway.
Oh, I didn't know
I
that.
didn't know that.
Yeah, more than half. I guess I could go find that
No,
information.
it's okay. I didn't,
Yeah.
I thought more came in because they figured
A lot
face to
of
face, they would do better.
A lot of people did come in because they want to see the stuff right in front of them.
That's what I thought.
But a lot of people,
Excuse me.
I mean, so this is just.
So they call and then you send them the stuff and then you talk about it afterwards.
Right, why did the value go up? Here's, we had a lot of sales in the area. What were the sales? Well, the one right down the street and then, the one right behind you, one door over sold for, oh, I knew about that one. I didn't know it sold for that,
But you do that on the phone without sending paperwork, or do you send
It
paperwork?
depends on what the property owner wants. Sometimes that's the reason it's called an informal inquiry. It's because it's questions. It's like, is this value correct? Why is it you know, why did it go up? And sometimes it satisfies the property owner. Sometimes, they'll do a settlement waiver right there with no change. Sometimes they bring up something to the district staff. Oh, my garage, you know, everything else in the house is finished, but, the garage apartment, the apartment's not finished. It's only this. Okay, can you send me a picture of the inside, you know, boom. And then they put it, you know, they make an adjustment to that and they're happy, they sign it. I mean, that's it. I mean, so every situation is different. Sometimes it's vacant land and they just want to know the comps of why the land went up. Or everyone is different. I mean, so it's just conversations, you know, they're conversations. I can tell you that, you know, I told Cindy yesterday, we did a calculation that that we would be about, if everything held true, the way the season works is that as soon as the notices come out, there's a lot of protests that come in. So we send the notices out. So it goes like this, it goes up, and in the middle of the season, the number of protests goes down, like actually daily turning in protests. And then right at the end, at the deadline, it goes up again. And so last year we had about 1,500 formal protests. It was like 1,498, I think, formal protests. We're on track this year, if everything holds true, that we'll be in the 1,300 range. It'll be two.
Last year when
Oh, God, last year it was, we were
It'll be
busy.
like 1,300 or 1,200, you know, this year, if everything holds true. But I don't know how it's going to work. I mean, we'll see.
And then historically, I guess a lot of those get settled just with conversations with the district, right? Not every one of those turns into a hearing here, does it?
The majority of all of formal protests get handled
Out there.
You know what? I bet,
However, last year we were here.
oh my God, last year was, last year was significantly more than we'd seen, I can say, in the last 5 years. It was
Really?
significantly more.
Okay.
Yeah, because it was
We were
the,
here
Hurricane.
almost every day.
It was the hurricane change,
yeah, I think that was.
going back up.
Going back up.
Yeah, I think that was the primary driver of appeals was that, so in 17, you know, it happened in August of 17. So January 1 of 17, we did not have a big appeal season because it was just whatever was normal in
Taxes went
June,
down,
right?
so-
Right.
So then in 18, values went down. So we still had a lot of appeals because people had questions on their level of completeness or level of construction. And those were the common things.
Okay.
And then in 19, a lot of those rebuilds had happened. So there was values going up exceeding the 17 values. In very many situations, you would have people that would do things. They would put back more. They would make it better or stronger.
Right.
Because now was the time to actually do it. Now there's no other, you know, like my case, your case.
Most
You know,
cases when rebuild came.
Yeah, yeah. My wife and I looked at each other and said, there's no better time to actually do everything we need to do to make this as strong as it can possibly be.
My rebuild isn't better.
No, yours is not.
The story just keeps getting worse. I'm like, I'm just gonna get in my car and leave Texas. I'm just,
Are you a condominium owner by chance?
no.
I've never heard a happy story from any condominium owner going, oh yeah, our HOA was on the ball, they got to rebuild, they got, you know.
Yeah, the
Every
condos,
story
it's a
seems
bad,
the same.
those are a bad,
Depends on the condo complex too. What your
but the
situation
condos
is.
are a bad deal. I mean, you know, not because of the owner's fault,
Right.
you know, it's just,
No,
but
It's the construction.
it's the, yeah.
You have complex situations. It's not even, Cindy and I can both tell you just on a one-on-one, dealing with an insurance company is difficult. And even it's very difficult, but at least you have one decision maker on this end.
Right.
1-to-1. When you have 100-to-1 and there's a consensus and then it's a complex build. And
Oh my God, I just couldn't.
It's just really difficult.
Because half are gonna think this and half are, it's like, what a mess. I thank God that I did not. I'm surprised we didn't, okay, because we dealt with everything else.
Yeah.
But thank you, God, that I didn't have to deal with that.
Yeah.
It's just, but it's been crazy. And you know what, Mike, I'm wondering if there will be more people who will settle on the phone with y'all because they're not making a decision to not come in and meet with us all. They're making a decision to go ahead and get it done on this phone call or this phone call. And there's a difference. So it'll be interesting to see if more people go ahead and settle over the phone with y'all, because they're still gonna have to be on the phone with us. And that is different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a,
As opposed to coming in person.
Yeah,
this is,
Yeah.
this is definitely, you know, when a person's having an informal conversation with one of the appraisers, there's no, you know, there's no affidavits, there's, you know, it's just an open exchange of information. So, you know, if somebody says, oh, my house is only whatever complete, well, can you send me a couple of pictures? Yeah, there's no affidavit with that. It's just, here it is.
You have to deal with all the paperwork that we.
There's yeah, on this side, there's a lot of procedures, you know, there's rights and remedies, but with those rights come responsibilities, procedures, things like that. And sometimes people like to just have well, you know, there is it's a science and an art altogether as far as appraising property. And it's about getting information.
So somebody has an easier job of basically making their point and solidifying their case through you than they do through us.
Not always. Sometimes the data is just it's in such a way that, you know, my appraisers are always going to. I always tell them just do the right thing. Like whatever the right thing is. If it's to hold the value, then hold the value. To reduce the value, then reduce the value. You know, whatever that is. If they think that the property's already undervalued and they bring you, some information that you don't agree with, then don't move it. If they bring you something that's tangible and real, like, oh, my shed in the back is gone, that's an easy fix. I mean, that's not a big deal. My down below, it used to be a main living space, now it's a storage, and I don't have an air conditioning unit in there. That's an easy fix. I'm just giving you broad examples. We're not talking about specific properties, but sometimes they say, well, this land went up. Of course, my land is in wetlands. Has that been considered? Maybe it's never.
I uploaded page 1 to the,
Maybe it's never been considered.
and we have him on hold.
okay, wait, so let us all get kind of.
And it's, you said it's 459?
It is, I changed it, it was incorrect.
So today is the
Today's the 9th.
9th.
That's
Which
page 2,
is
but
the-
I said page 1. I put it in there as affidavit page 1. Did it come
Under.
up?
Yes.
It's in
It's
this
just
section.
under
Okay.
June, punch the June 9th button, and then you'll get 1, 2, 3, 4,
I
and
don't,
it's the third one down.
I don't see it. It didn't.
Oh, here it is.
Come through
Here it
yet.
is. Yeah,
It's
Okay,
the
now I
third
see
one
it.
down.
yeah, it's outside of the case. Down.
Oh, okay, I got it in the wrong place.
Oh, okay.
All right.
It's
But it's there.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
would you like us to send him on through then?
Yes.
We've got him
Yeah,
on
and
hold.
get Eamon and
Okay.
Scott, either one or both.
Affidavit, page 1.
Yes, but here, see, okay, your first screen is you punch on June 9th.
I did.
Okay, now
Okay, and then here, affidavit.
you want to
page 1.
say,
Yes.
Yeah.
And then he's the first case.
they're gonna call and all you're gonna do is hit this button.
Or is he on hold?
She said he's on.
She said he's on hold.
Yeah, she's gonna push him this way. It's gonna ring and smoke.
Mr. Phillips,
Speaking,
this is Charlie Pembry.
yes,
We have your page 1. Thank you very much.
yes, sir, my pleasure.
And we're about to proceed. Are you ready, guys?
I'm still breaking,
I'm ready.
you're kind of breaking up.
Is that okay now?
Mr. Powers?
Can you hear us, Mr. Phillip?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. We're open,
We're everything's rocking. We're good.
we're opening a hearing on, protest number 2020-459, number 18546. We have a little bit of administrative to do before we get started. Can you hear me okay now?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Okay. This hearing is being recorded. We're the appraisal review board that will be hearing your protest today. The people present are myself, Charles Powers, Cindy Duff, Kathy Hoffman, Robert Dayton are at the table, and Ramona LeBlanc is here by Zoom. Also at the table is Mike Soto, representing the district. We do not work for the appraisal district. We are appointed to perform an independent review of your protest. The comptroller's office provides an electronic survey for you to offer feedback about your experience today. It may be accessed at the appraisal district office or online at surveymonkey.com/r/survey ARB. Survey is voluntary, but we do encourage you to take it. We like the feedback, whether it's good or bad. You also have the right to appeal our decision. Appeal information will be provided to you with our determination. In accordance with Tax Code Section 4145H, all written material that has not been provided must be provided at this time. I assume we have all of your evidence in hand. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The ARB members who are considering the protest have not communicated with anyone about the protest and are signing affidavits to that effect. Let me begin by saying that I, Charles Powers, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66. However, let me add to that I have had conversations this morning since about 7:30 this morning with my administrative assistant, Val Smith, regarding the missing page.
I, Cindy Duck, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
I, Kathy Hoffman, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
I, Robert Dayton, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Tax Code Section 41.66F.
Ramona?
Is
Wait, hold
Val
up,
in there?
hold up, Ramona.
I am. I was just waiting for Val.
You're so good.
Just tell Val to come look at that. Okay? Val can look at this screen. That's okay.
Hello?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
we're waiting. We have one more person
Oh, okay.
to
There's no
read
reason to.
and we need the notary in here.
Yes, sir.
She can see it over here. She's Val.
Well, I'll just stand by and.
Val.
Yeah, she's here.
You can look at this screen.
Are you ready?
Yes, ma'am.
I, Ramona LeBlanc, do solemnly swear that I have not communicated with another person in violation of Code Section 41.6, and I am signing, and I'm located in Texas.
And I'm Valerie Smith, and I am notarizing the signature, and I am also physically located in Texas.
All testimony from all witnesses must be given under oath.
Yeah, you can minimize it.
And Mr. Phillips, since you have signed and notarized the affidavit, we'll assume that you're under oath for the duration of this proceeding.
Very good.
Okay, my name is Michael Soto. I do solemnly swear affirm the testimony shall present to the appraisal review board for the Aransas County Appraisal District is true and correct.
Okay, Mr. Phillips, on page 4 of your package that was sent to you, there's a hearing procedure times. Do you have that in front of you, or can you?
Let me, page 4.
It's a chart that shows hearing procedure times.
Yeah, let's see, I was going through that. I present my evidence first, is that the thing, and then y'all cross?
You're right.
Okay, here we go, right here.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes,
hold,
sir.
hold
I'm
that
looking at
page.
it right now.
Hold on to that page for a bit.
Okay.
Do you hold a license or certificate from the Texas Appraiser Licensing and Certification Board?
Well, I've been at this point in time, no, but I am a licensed real estate broker.
Broker, but not a licensed appraiser?
Well, back in '90, they changed the certificate, and they split the, if you want to be an appraiser, you can be an appraiser. If you want to stay with your broker's license, be a broker. But I've had my broker's license for 48 years.
Okay, but you're not appearing here today as an appraiser?
No.
Okay, that's what I need to know. The two columns indicate whether the district goes first or you go first. You get to choose. Would you like to go, or would you like Mike to go first?
Oh, I'll go.
Okay.
If Mike doesn't mind.
Yeah, please go ahead, sir.
All right, you have 5 minutes.
Okay. All righty. Well, let's see. I'm David Martin Phillip. I'm the owner of property that's ID'd with the Aransas County Appraisal District, 18546. It's located, the physical address is 207 South Terry in Aransas County, Texas. And the evidence that I received from the Aransas County Appraisal District, they had some comparables to this property, and I'll just go over this real fast. 207 Terry Street, it's not comparable to the comparables that y'all have. You've got 829 South Fuquay, and this property is cleared, has trailer pads, and it shows that the improvements are worth $8,000. And it's got utilities that have been installed on the property. The property that I have is just raw land. There's no water. The electricity is, you have to apply to it for, I guess, AEP, and it's all brush. The next property that's a comparable is 427 and 431 South Burn Street. It's a development lot that's been cleared and has access to utilities, of which the lot that I have on 207 South Terry doesn't have that. The next comparable that y'all are showing to the property that I own at 207 South Terry is 2016 South Terry, and it's located in an RV park. Again, this property cleared and has access to utilities and an infrastructure for an RV park. And these are all comparables that y'all provided to me to justify the change in the appraised value. Also, the main thing on, let's go to the evidence that y'all presented to me. It says on it, it's styled Aransas CAD evidence, and it's got the property number 1846. It's got a number of fields here. It's got field review card, sales grid, sales ratio report, pictometer, equity grid, and pictures. And it's got the currently listed, and this is all for your appraisal. Doesn't have anything on there. Last sale price has nothing on there. It's got year, there's nothing there. It has not listed. It says the current or 2019 market value is $5,250. The next page is a protest summary, and it's got the legal description, which is, I think this is in the dog tree survey. It's got pictures of the lot, which shows that it's complete brush, and this is from your evidence. And it's an aerial photo of the property, and it's got the boundary lines shown in here. I don't know whether it's from the survey that y'all did or based upon the meets and bounds survey that was done prior. But it's off of Google Maps, and it's an aerial. And there's no improvement shown on the property at all. There are no improvements on the property. Okay, so we go to the next page, and this is property appraisal information 2020.
See, I've got that.
Got Phillips DM as the owner, and my address in San Antonio, 129 Sendero Verde, San Antonio 78261. And to the very far upper part of this page, it's got Aransas County Appraisal District property 18546, land description, Daughtry and Mathis, block 239, lot 2. And it's got
You've got 10 seconds left.
value. Excuse me?
You have 10 seconds left, I'm sorry.
Okay. Just tell me when I already done.
No, you have 10 seconds left.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a picture on here that shows the improvements on the property. There are no improvements on the property. This picture isn't of the property. There are no improvements on the property whatsoever. So y'all have an erroneous description here based upon this the improvements. There are no improvements on the property. It shows a house and some other stuff. You've got your appraisal based upon this picture that you've got on here.
Okay.
So that's my big contention right there.
All right. So now the district has 2 minutes to cross-examine.
Yeah,
Okay.
in the cross-examine time, I'd like to, and it's under the file that says corrected card. And it's account number 18546. And what you see is, I would agree with the property owner that the picture is not relevant to the subject property in any way, but it doesn't have any value in any way. So if you look at the card that we currently have, you'll notice we agree with the property owner that there's no improvement here. There's no value for the improvement. In fact, when you go to the card and you see this, there's a big 0 right here for improvement, big 0 at the top. The only value that we have on is for the land. For my cross-examine time. Another point that I'd like to make on my cross-examination time is I want to point out that the protest came in, and the protest sheet, you have a summary sheet of the items that were protested on your listing, and you'll notice that Q1 is under Philip. Board members, the Q1 is under Philip, and it's incorrect appraised value. And I want to point out that the affidavit of evidence has 2 items. We've had some clarification from your legal counsel that indicates that we should, the board should only rule on incorrect appraised value.
Yes.
I have no other items on cross-examination other than to point out that we agree that there is no improvements on the property with the property. Okay, we agree with the property. I'll start in my presentation time. Subject property is 18546 on Terry Street. We have a value of $19,130. This was an area that experienced a market value change just due to sales. You'll notice in the subject, it actually has 207 South Terry. The other properties that you see there are going to be, the other properties that you see are going to be comp number 1 right there is you have 815 South Cassuth. You'll notice this this neighborhood is called Manning Market South. It's a specific area that we gathered all of our sales from. And you'll notice that all of those have that same designation. And these are actual sales that would have occurred in that area. You have 18,000 for on the South Cassuth. You have on your next one here, you have Fuqua that sold for 36,000. I want to point out that the 18,000 is, happened in March of this year. It's the same size as the subject property, sold for 18,000. A size that double that, sold for 36,000. Well, actually, it's not quite double. It's 28,000 square feet. Or I'm sorry, no, it's not. It's the exact same size, but it has a trailer pad on it. And you'll see one of the points that the property owner brought up is that those aren't the same, and we agree that they're not the same. That's why there's a minus there for the trailer pad. You have another sale on Burn Street for 15,000. I'm sorry, you have another sale for 38,400 and another sale for 35,000. So this was an area that you see, this is all Manning, you see Manning Cove South, Manning Market South. This is that whole area. You can see that they're Vernon, Terry, and Cassuth, and Fuqua, and also Terry. When you're moving, we have a comp equity grid here, but I'm not going to talk about it because it was not an item under protest, under the protest. And I've talked about that, but that's under the protest form. I guess what I could say is that it's equitable. That was the information that I provided. The last is the sales ratio report that's included, and if you go to the final page there, you'll see that the ratio for the Manning Market South area, and we have 97.07 weighted mean, and that's the evidence that the appraisal district has.
Let me just clarify, the median value on the market is 21,362. Am I reading that correct?
That is correct, which
Okay.
exceeds the subject property's
Exceeds the
value.
subject property. Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so now, sir, you've got 2 minutes to cross-examine.
Okay, well, you know, all the comparables that y'all have, you know, they're similar by location, I guess, because they are in Aransas County. But as far as comparable, all of the ones that are described as comparables, they're improved lots. And this property is still in its raw state. Probably, I think I bought the property in 2003, and it's just, it doesn't have any utilities on it. It has no water on it. It's got no sewer or septic on it. There's no type of improvements on it whatsoever, where I believe every one of these other ones have either been cleaned, groomed, and ready for development. And this property that I have hasn't. And I believe that your appraisal districts were formed back in, by statute in 1970 to create equity between all the taxing units. But based upon, you know, comparables that are a like property. And it's just, you know, we're talking about a big difference between some of these that you know, it shows a sales price of $38,000, and you know, they must have some tremendous improvements on it compared to other stuff that doesn't have any improvements on it. And I just think that there's an equity there in the value and what what y'all are calling the appraised value. And basically, that's all I have to say.
Okay, and sir, then you've got 2 minutes for rebuttal.
So I do?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Yes.
Well, basically, I said it in the last rebuttal to the you know, it's a different piece of property
Okay.
in relationship to the property that y'all have set up as the comparables. This hasn't been improved whatsoever, and you know, it's a 400% increase. I mean, that's kind of takes your breath away when you see something that's jumped from $5,300 to $19,000. So again, that's all I got to say.
Okay. Can I ask a question, Mike, please?
Of course.
All right, for clarification, I just want to make sure that I do understand something. So okay, land, you've got the value 19,130. Right.
For the subject property.
Yes, for this subject, okay.
Yes.
So if you had considered water, electricity, or septic, that would fall under improvement, or would that be listed with the land?
So a really good example, if you'll go to comp number 2. On the sales grid, do you see how it says TP1?
Wait, hold up, give me a second. Wait, put your pointer. Okay, yes.
Right there.
That particular property has a utility package that has electric, water, and sewer, and it is adjusted. There's a negative adjustment there associated with that.
Okay, and that TP, okay, so a TP, would that fall, is that on land?
It's an improvement.
Or is it under improvement?
It's an improvement to the land.
Okay, so you have zero, on this form that I'm looking at, you have zero value for improvements, right?
For the subject, because it does not have any improvements.
Right, so you didn't put a value, you didn't put any value on septic or electricity or whatever, water, because it's zero. So you didn't add, that isn't adding to the price of the fact that he doesn't have those. You didn't.
I accounted for that.
You accounted for that.
Correctly, because it does not have those.
Because the other properties that do, you have added that under
Right.
improvement.
So this is a really good example because they're side by side on the sales comparison grid. The very first one is vacant land, and it has zeros here. There's nothing. There are no improvements. It's just vacant land. It sold for 18 or sold for 19. Where's the sales?
18,000.
18,000 right up here. Okay. This one sold for 36, and it's the same size as the subject, but it has an improvement on it. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
So I accounted for them in both ways. It's a really good side-by-side example.
Okay, so the other land, the comp 1, the indicated value on it, which basically it's the same land square footage, is the same. Its value is 18,000.
It sold for 18,000.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Well, and then the indicated value is 18,000.
Right.
Okay.
No adjustments.
Okay. All right. Cool. And I'm sorry. I just wanted, because he's talking about improvements, but you didn't. That is not what has added to the value of his land at all.
It's a market value change due to land sales in the area.
Okay. And I just wanted to. Okay. All right. So now the district gets a 2-minute rebuttal.
So on my rebuttal is what I would say, the only thing under the protest form is value, incorrect appraised market value. I have 4 comps in the generalized area that the subject property is. So these are not things far away in Aransas County. These are things that are close to the subject. Terry, Cassuth, Fuqua, Vern, and another one on Terry. These are all within the same streets in that South Manning Market area. You'll notice that comp number 3 is another sale sold for, in January of this year, sold for $65,250 on comp number 3. On comp number 3. Now, it's double the size of the subject property. But if you took the 65,000 and cut it in half, your value would be north of 32,000 for a single lot. So things are just selling for more in your area. And what I'd like to say is that the only thing under protest is the subject property market value, and the median value that's been indicated is 21,362, which exceeds the subject property's current value. And that's all I got.
Okay, so sir, now you've got 1 minute for your closing.
Okay, all righty. Let's go to the side by side, right in that neighborhood. If we go down, let's see, from where 107 is, there, go to 215 South Carey. Okay, that property is appraised at $19,000, strangely enough, $820. But it's got, it has a home on there. It's got electricity. It's got, I guess they're hooked into a septic tank, so I don't believe there's any sewer over there. But it's at the same price as what mine. It has no improvements on it. It's brush. It's got some oak trees on there, but it hasn't been cleared at all. Okay, that's if you've got a plat there, whatever, that's 2015 South Carey, and that's owned by Blanca Castaneda. And then go on to let's see, what's this other one here I'm looking at? It would
Can
be
you do a neighborhood
2
thing?
lots down.
That wasn't presented in his evidence. Was that presented in your evidence, sir? Was that in your evidence?
Well, there's a picture of the subdivision, and these are side by side lots, the same size, and they have houses on there. There's another one down here.
Okay, sir, I'm so,
Yes.
and I'm so sorry. I have to be consistent as far as keeping everybody within their time limits. So,
Okay, no, I understand.
okay, so now the district has 1 minute for their closing.
The only thing under protest is market value. This was an area that experienced change just due to market value transactions. If you look at my evidence, we've presented 4 sales that are not just in Aransas County, they're in that area. Manning, Market South, you're gonna have Terry Kasuth, what's the other one that I presented? Terry Kasuth, Fuqua, thank you. And so these are properties that have been appropriately adjusted. You have some vacant land sales, you have some that have a trailer, what's called a utility package or a trailer package, but that was reduced or adjusted. The median value of that is $21,000, which exceeds the subject property's value. I think the property is okay.
Okay. So now the appraisal district has 5 minutes.
Okay, sorry, but you cut out.
I'm sorry, the appraisal review board has 5 minutes to discuss.
Okay.
Our ruling, okay?
Well,
It appears to me that.
I tell you what, you're cutting in and out, so I don't know whether it's my side. If I'm cutting out,
We'll speak up a little more so that make sure we trigger the thing. My view is that it has been demonstrated clearly that the value of the property is below the median for the market value study, and that's.
I agree. I think that the district has shown that, with this evidence that, this property is several $1,000s below the median market value. And the property should remain at $19,003. And I recommend that property number 18546, should remain at market value. I'm sorry, remain at the assessed value of
Second?
Second that.
In favor?
Aye.
Very good. Mr. Phillips?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for your participation. You'll be receiving a document summarizing the results.
okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And like I said before, there was 7 originally scheduled.
Oh, that's tight.
This is the only one that you had to hear, so
You're in tight.
we're done. And there's nothing this afternoon. Yeah, I think what's the next,
Thursday.
Thursday we have 3 doctors.
You said the value.
yeah, Thursday's a pretty good day. And those were, I think we may have already been scheduling
Yeah.
6 rather than
No
8
matter
for
what.
docket.
Well, we've been doing okay. We've been following our
Distribution
timeline.
final is 0.
We leave these papers here, so I'll bring it back.
Which ones, yeah, you can leave whatever
The
you want.
ones that we're gonna, you know, the ones that are listing all of the.
I think, yeah, that would be fine.
She left mine alone, and I left them.
Yeah, the hearing procedure.
So maybe stick those in a
Yeah.
separate stack, so
Yeah.
she knows that's gonna be away.
Yeah, anything that you have here that you want, she'll know what to leave.
Now, we weren't waiting on anything, any info from
Pretty
anybody,
much it.
right?
Just for fun.
Or were we?
I'm done.
Thanks.
That's it, that's all we have.
Oh,
Well, I had,
See if there's
wouldn't
one.
be home until after 12, so.
Yeah. Thursday.
Ramona,
8:30.
did you have any comments?
so we're still not adjourned yet. I mean, are y'all-
We're not
We are
adjourned. I make, or do I have to make, we have a motion? I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
We adjourn.
Bye.
all right, so I don't know.
Bye, Ramona.
Bye.
Bye, y'all. Have a great day.
I can see you.
We'll see you.
Thursday.
Okay,
Okay.
sounds good.
It's like she's gonna smush us.
And
Oh my
we can
gosh.
leave ourselves, or we can end the meeting for everybody.